Hello.
Hello,
How you
hello.
doing?
It's season episode 5 and 6. We had both of us had issues last week, so we're doing it today.
Well,
I've got tons of notes on episode 5, more than 6.
that's
Uh,
good because I've only got rather sparse notes.
yeah, well,
I didn't watch it. I haven't watched it. I watched it last week, but I haven't watched it since. So yeah,
yeah,
I know I'm old.
yeah. Well, you said it was a good episode, and I was kind
It
of like,
was.
but then, but there is quite a lot of important bits that happen in it, and
Yeah,
today, uh, the new episode 6, not I my personal feelings are that not a lot of it happened in episode 6. There was a couple of interesting bits that I noted, but let's get on
yeah.
with episode 5 anyway. The
Okay.
janitor's day, which fully introduces, well, not fully, it is still a bit of a mystery, but Sims, the guy, I couldn't remember his name last time, but he's judicial. So
Yeah,
Sims, it's his episode really, Janice's boy, and so it kind of starts off where Julia gets hold of the file, and we all thought, brilliant,
yeah.
she gets a bag of goodies and stuff. We're going to find out stuff more, but no, load of bollocks. Yeah, no, it was total red herring. She reads it and goes, "Oh, why would anybody blah, blah, read this?" So yeah, nothing there. Mons is dead
Mans is dead. Yeah,
off
exactly.
screen. So yeah. And Paul Billings is now the deputy.
Deputy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
deputy, and obviously they wanted him to be like the sheriff and stuff, and Sims is still on that. He's still like, he should be the sheriff, but anywho,
yeah,
um, and then so she kind of tells them to get out of the room because she wants a couple of moments with the body, and she searches Mans's body, and then she finds like a list of people who he suspected um, in you know, oh, what's her name? Mayor
yeah. The
Johns's
mayor.
death. So she picks that up, and yeah, Bernard's hitting the booze in the mayor's office. Nice one, but I mean,
Yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
did notice
it's
that.
hardly it's, it's
He's
hardly
like, does anyone want a
professional.
drink? And they're all like, no. And
Yeah,
he's like, oh, I'm gonna have
but it's
one. And
probably
he's
9 o'clock in the morning. He's got
yeah,
like a quadruple whiskey in there.
yeah. There
Yeah,
can't be much of that stuff there. I don't know if they make their own
well, he's
booze
filling
or
his boots, isn't he? He's getting
yeah,
in there. I mean, he's 6'5" or something, isn't he? So I mind do. I suppose if you're not drinking that much, then that would get you quite toasted. But
yeah.
yeah.
I suppose it's all
Anyways,
right if you can do your job while getting mildly hammered. Why not?
yeah. Well, he's availing himself of the booze
The
counter.
perks, yeah,
Yeah. So so what's her name? Juliet um says, "Oh, we should bury them together," and that's Sims didn't really like it, and then the IT guy Bernard said, "Well, it's quite a good idea. We can sort of spin it out into sort of feel good
yeah,
thing for everybody, and maybe get their minds off, the death factor."
yeah. So he sort of like came around. Well, in this episode, he came across as a little bit more sympathetic, didn't he, towards
Yeah,
Juliet? Which was weird because in the first, I mean, it was good because in the episodes before that when we saw him, he hardly said anything and was very, and it's like, you can't waste a resource like Tim Robbins, really. He's
no.
capable of being very good. So I was waiting for something like that to happen.
Well, in
But
the book, IT play a massive part in
yeah,
everything. So he's the head of IT, so he's like a main character. Um, but yeah, like previous to this, he was kind of just like the office arsehole. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Why are you doing that? No, you're not allowed to do that. No, I'm taking it away from you. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
He's like that. But this time he sort of had a few good ideas. He sort of um went with Juliet's idea rather than Sims. And yeah, there was a really embarrassing funeral where
yeah,
so in the silo, the funerals, they put everybody in the ground because they want to reuse their bodies to grow fruit,
Yeah.
apparently. Yeah, I always thought it was good for tomatoes. I wasn't sure about the fruit thing. Didn't look it up, but maybe they need blood and bones as well.
Well, I suppose it can't do them any harm.
No,
And I
it's
suppose
a bit of
they're all okay with
nutrients.
eating fruit with people in it.
Yeah,
Well,
so
it's
they
not people, obviously. It's the
look
decomposed atoms, decomposed molecules reformed into fruit. That's the circle of life.
compost.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. All fruit we eat has all got some sort of like
yeah.
reconstituted dead things in it, presumably.
Well, there was a couple of things I got from this. The grave looked really fucking shallow.
Yeah, it was weird and sort of square. Yeah, it
Well, it
did
was
look.
obviously
Yeah,
to occupy the two, the
yeah.
two dead bodies. You need probably a bit of space, but
Did you notice the obviously like at the end they all make a couple of shitty speeches. Like
yeah, it's
which is
awkward as fuck.
it was a
Yeah,
bit awkward. Yeah, he was sort of like making little jokes, and everyone was just like. And then she had to do it. Juliet did a little speech, which
she,
was sort of nice enough, but like
yeah, it
she
was
was like,
below
"You don't."
par. Let's
Yeah,
face it.
she
Yeah,
was like, "You don't know me, and I didn't know them,"
yeah.
sort
I'm
of
not
thing.
sad. Oh boy, I am sad, but I'm not
Yeah,
sad because
I'm
some
sad he's
other
dead,
thing.
but I didn't really know
Yeah,
him, so I
it
don't
was
care.
bad. It was bad. Yeah.
Um, uh, that was quite interesting, but it's weird at the end. This is just something silly I noticed. So they all take a bite of apples and then just throw it in the grave. Seems a bit wasteful if you ask me. So, but then there's a shot of them looking down. You've got the two dead bodies, and they're just surrounded by apples, but also some pears.
Yeah,
And
I
I
noticed
thought,
that too.
and I
And
thought,
peaches.
oh, I didn't see peaches.
Yeah.
But what
Might
I
have been a
did,
nectarine in there. Don't know.
you never know. But what, but what I did think was apples, pears, stairs, the silo,
Apple and
stairs.
pears, stairs.
Yeah, I don't think that's a connection, but that's the first thing I thought of. I was like, is someone trying to tell us something there?
Oh, that's
Because
interesting. Unless they've got a cockney visual effects artist, I'm not really
maybe he just
sure.
decided to. I'll tell you what, mate. Let's chuck some pears in as well.
Yeah.
What?
There's no cockneys in it, but let's do it.
Yeah. Listen, the fucking Cockneys have been very underrepresented in this, so I'm going to chuck in some apples and pears
Yeah,
so they
let's do
feel
it.
included.
Apples and pears. I noticed the pears, apples and pears, but I also noticed the peaches, which kind of threw me off.
Oh, I
The
didn't notice that.
Cockney conspiracy there.
Cockney conspiracy. Yeah, it'd be fucking ace if that turns out to be the case.
Yeah, it would
Later
be,
on,
wouldn't it? Yeah.
yeah, the protagonist is sort of like behind some locked door. There's some like pearly kings and queens. Oi,
Oh
oi,
God.
doing the
Yeah.
Lambeth walk.
Yeah.
If you're not
My
from
old
England, you won't
man.
know what we're talking about.
No, yeah. Yeah, let's get off the cultural highway.
Get
Yeah.
off the old apples and pears.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Well done. So Billings is now, well, he's kind of like this by the book. He knows the pact inside out. He's
Yeah,
a good boy,
yeah.
Um, and also Sims wants him to be sheriff, but that's been sort of left by the wayside at the moment. Yeah, the awkward speeches. So, so it was like Bernard, which is Tim Robbins, was like,
Can I just say, why do Americans pronounce it Bernard?
oh, I don't know.
It always
didn't
does
know.
my head in. Like
Bernard.
I think it's just like trying to sort of Frenchify things, isn't it? Because they think it's more
Is it
sophisticated.
French?
Bernard. They do that in Westworld as well. Thank you, Bernard.
Is it
It's
French
Bernard.
though? Is it?
Well, no, but they're trying to give it a European flavour, aren't they? But it's Bernard.
Well,
It's
we say
Bernard
Bernard over here, so I
because
mean, it's
that's the
just
way it is. Because we
picked, isn't
invented
it? So
language.
yeah, it's. I mean, if you wanted to, go foreign, you could have done. You could called him Michael or something, or Michelle, French.
Yeah.
After me,
After
obviously.
you, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah.
French Michelle.
A Bulgarian guy used to call you Yamas or
He
James.
did, yeah.
Yeah.
But your name means likened unto God, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah.
Yeah, which is
I accept
pretty
that.
obvious, really. Yeah, I accept it too. Bernard, honestly, Bernard.
Yeah, it's a bit the way they say. I mean, they're all American, I suppose. I mean, I've not come across any Cockney people in the show, British, French, or otherwise.
Not yet.
No Italians there.
Yeah,
No Russians, Chinese,
I don't
Japanese.
know.
I don't know.
Can continue going with
Just
ethnicity.
just
No,
point that out.
but no.
Not much
Well,
diversity there.
no, it's
Yeah,
it's all
so
pretty.
I've just watched John Wick 4.
Oh, I watched it the other day as
Yeah,
well. Yeah,
so that's how you do diversity. There's everybody is in that. Everybody.
everyone is worthy of getting killed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Mm.
I don't want to turn this into a John Wick thing because it's not about that. So we'll talk about that another time.
Yeah,
Um, it turns out that like the rest of the silo, like Hank, one of the lower sheriffs, and I think Martha Wilkins is a bit concerned about Juliet because all these people are dying left and right, and they're just saying you're going to get killed. But so they sort of contact her, and Hank turns up with some treats in a tin. I
yeah.
had to look up hush puppies. I had no clue what they were. I think it's an American thing, maybe.
Maybe
Don't
just the
know.
silo thing. I don't know, but I did think, oh, wonder what they're like.
Well, I thought they were humbugs. I thought they were going about humbugs, but no. You know what they are? It's
What?
corn flour, deep fried with some other shit in it. Yeah,
Oh,
so like it's basically carbohydrates, deep fried carbohydrates. You can put onions and stuff in there as well.
it sounds
But
kind of nice.
traditionally, it's the deep fried sort of corn sort of things or
I imagine they
wheat.
probably don't keep that well. Probably be a bit soggy rattling around in someone's pocket.
Well, you got to eat them, haven't you? And they've only got a day to get up there, so I suppose you would need a whole tin, frankly, to get up.
I
The fact
suppose.
you saved the one was quite restrained of him, I thought. Anywho, so there's that. The secretary's still being a bitch,
Yeah, she's getting
but
on my
she
nerves
fucks
a
off
bit.
later, so good. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, fuck off. Yeah. There's no need to be like that at all.
No, it's
You
very
can be
weird,
a
isn't
bit
it?
offish, but
I
she's
think,
outright rude. She's
yeah,
rude.
I think
Yeah.
people are just sort of told you need to be a bastard in order to get through life, and it's like, well, it might help you in the short term,
Yeah. Yeah.
but in the end, she, well, I mean, the thing is about that is that it's Juliet. She did say to her, "Do you have to go?" Which is big of her because she could have just said, "Good, fuck
Yeah, I
yourself."
wouldn't. I don't know if I'd be that. I'd just be
No,
like, yeah, well,
no, exactly,
clean out your desk and, you know
but
what I
yeah,
mean?
but
Fuck
I think she
off.
would have fought a bit harder for her if she'd have been a bit nicer. It's
Yeah.
just
Well,
strange.
no, she
Manners
wanted to
plus
go.
nothing.
She wanted to
Yeah,
go, didn't she? She didn't like being upstairs because she was talking about being surveilled, which I
yeah,
think is important for this next episode in episode 6 because
yeah.
that becomes apparent. But obviously Juliet didn't know what the fuck she was talking about.
No,
I mean, it'd be nice if people actually wrote things down and told people what they mean.
yeah,
Like having seen episode 6 now. I mean, the sheriff was going to die anyway. Why not leave a note and say this is all the shit I found out, rather than just leaving that for her? The
yeah.
file of George. I mean,
The
it's not
file
fucking
of
helpful,
George.
is it?
No, I mean, yeah, that's it does seem a bit like it could have done something better. But then you don't know. I mean, it's weird because at some point at that, or maybe it's at that point, she goes to Marn's apartment, doesn't she? Or she goes to no, she goes to someone else's apartment and finds some evidence because the basically judicial point the finger at some guy, don't they?
Kennedy, yeah,
Kennedy, and
yeah,
and she finds a photo, not a photo, the drawing that
yeah. The
was
drawing that Sheriff Marnes done, so they're trying
yeah,
to
but
pin it on him by leaving the
yeah,
the evidence there. So
yeah, like you would
Marnes had
yeah,
drawn a beautiful photo, a picture of Judge Johns, not Judge, the other one,
meh,
Mayor, and
meh.
they've left it in Kennedy's apartment to fit him up for the murder. But she finds it. doesn't she?
Yeah. She
First.
notices the corners cut off, and she notices it's, come from Marn's apartment because it was on his wall.
Yeah.
And I think maybe the people, the people who planted it there didn't think she would know it had come from Marn's apartment. I think maybe they just thought he was obsessed with the mayor, and so he drew a picture of her or some weird shit.
Yeah.
But she notices the corners cut off, and when she investigated his apartment at the beginning, Marn's apartment, she was like, "There's just a drawing pin with like a corner of thing."
Yeah.
So she realizes before I did that they'd planted the evidence, because I wasn't quite sure what was going on at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. I wasn't until later. Yeah.
Yeah. And then she's like, she comes across the guy, doesn't she? What's his name? Turnbull.
Turnbull. Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, the thing is, she knew this wasn't really apparent in the previous episode, but they'd gone to Kennedy's place to find his wife, who is
Yeah.
now dead, and they didn't have it, so it wasn't on a database. And also, probably off screen, Kennedy had told them that he didn't live there anymore. But
Yeah.
apparently, Judicial didn't know that. That's why they planted the evidence in the wrong
In the wrong
apartment.
apartment. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
and the
So that's
person who did that was this Turnbull guy.
who was the guy. Who was the guy we saw at the end of the previous episode, pointing a gun at Mars.
Right.
Yeah, because
I didn't realise that, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's weird, because I remember when we reviewed that episode, it was like there seemed like quite a young guy. He was the guy pointing a
Yeah.
gun at Barnes, and I was
It
like,
was
"Who the fuck's
quite
that?"
dark. I wasn't really paying
Yeah,
attention.
but then I was like, "Oh, that's the guy," and that was like, obviously that kind of makes sense. But yeah, she has a lot of confrontation with him, doesn't she, outside that apartment, and like says to him, "Well, you've planted this shit," and he just runs, he just legs it, and like there's a big old chase and shit.
She nearly dies.
She nearly dies because there's some kind of like bollocks going on to keep the masses quiet, and
They seem to
like
be
a
having a lot
race.
of holidays lately.
Yeah, it's always like, oh shit, someone's died. Let's have a holiday, keep them
Yeah.
quiet, because we're all so easily placated.
You might think that someone might knock people off just to have a holiday. I mean, that's what's going to happen, you know.
I know I would.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We've done quite well for bank holidays this year, but like you never know. But yeah, she almost dies. He sort of pushes her over or something, and she almost falls off the edge. And then a couple of brave young women come and help her. It's really good.
Yeah.
As you would.
They mention the listeners in this episode as well. So she survives that. It turns out that Judicial has their own investigation going on, and they've got way more information than that, which seems a bit silly that they have way more information than the police. You know, they're already censoring out their own police force, so I mean, I don't know how they expect the police force to be, effective when they're not.
I think they're almost like just a token thing, aren't they? They're sort of like
The friendly face of Judicial, kind of, maybe.
well, almost. It's sort of like, everything Judicial does is sort of secret, and everyone kind of knows that they're the bad guys, and the sheriff's department deal with the sort of disturbances and the sort of boring stuff kind of thing, and they sort of take the fall as well. I think if things go wrong and stuff like that, which it sort of makes sense. Can sort of see that, and like Marnes and the guy who died, the previous sheriff who went out to clean, they seemed like quite good guys, really, but obviously like didn't really do that much. It was just sort of
I
keeping
think
the
the
peace.
secretary said something about to the effect where Marnes was all right, but like he would let things slide if he knew that would, be more comfortable for him, sort of thing. So so maybe they're just kind of like a joke police force.
Yeah, sort of. They don't
Yeah,
trust them with anything. They just keep things from them, don't they? So it's like,
yeah. Well, they mention the listeners in this one, so they've kind of got this like Nazi sort of thing going where they call them the Friends of Judicial, where people spy on their own neighbours and report them. And that's what the
right.
Nazis did in Germany. They had, probably the Friends of the Nazis, not as
Nazi friends.
Nazi friends. Oh, they had the Nazi youth as well, didn't they? And all of that. So it's kind of like that. It's that restrictive that, I've got the feeling though that where the silo is, the top layers, like the places where they live, are fully surveilled, but down below they haven't got enough cameras or something like that. So the
Yeah,
top levels are fully that they're watched all the time, and then you've got the friends of judicial sort of living and betraying their neighbours whenever they fancy it. So yeah, it's a proper authoritarian state, isn't it? It's a proper
yeah.
Nazi state. Um, what else happened?
So there's she goes up to the cafe again and
Oh yeah,
sees that
yeah, yeah,
guy,
yeah,
which
yeah.
still not quite sure what that's all about. I got a feeling he's a bad guy. I don't know.
Well, when he brought up, you see, when he first met her, he brought up rebellion. So I thought,
Yeah,
oh, it's judicial's planted him there to see what she's up to.
yeah,
Put a handsome guy there, you know. And then I thought it was obvious that he was waiting for her, and I think he was waiting for her. But at the same time, I got that wrong because he's actually looking at the screen, and I made a joke
yeah,
about that. But he's looking at the stars or the lights.
yeah. He's like,
Um,
because that's. I thought that was kind of weird because
yeah,
he's like, when there's no cloud, there's lights in the sky, and I'm like, seriously, no one's noticed that before. Like,
yeah, yeah.
really?
That does
And there's
seem a bit odd.
patterns in them. Yeah,
Well, my problem with that is because in the book they know it's a screen because they
yeah,
talk about the pixels blinking out and then leaving a white square, where the pixel used to be because the
yeah,
screen's degraded. So that's what's in the book. But in the series, it's kind of like they call it a projection. They call it a view screen. They know it's not a window,
yeah.
so they must therefore know that what they're getting is not real. And also, why bother cleaning the lens if you don't think it's a window? It's a bit.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
don't,
What am I doing?
I don't know.
So, well, it's not a window. It's a
No,
projection from the
I
outside.
think I think they know they know it's a screen.
Yeah.
I think, but I
So
don't.
why? So why
But I
would?
think they just think it's a feed from the camera,
Yeah.
but they don't
Yeah. It's
think
weird that they
it's.
wouldn't notice lights before.
Yeah, I just thought it was strange that you
Yeah.
know that would have been quite a
I think
like
I just had a brain fart there.
an
Yeah.
unknown event, or not an unknown event, but something that was like a big mystery, as indeed the stars were for a very long time. That people would just think about them a lot. You know,
Yeah.
Like, so I found it odd that was news to her anyway.
Well, he said it was a repeating pattern, so I'm thinking
Yeah,
the repeating pattern may refer to like video that's on a loop, perhaps.
I thought it was more just the fact that there are constellations and that over the time.
Yeah.
I thought he was just spotting constellations for the first time in human history.
I just wonder why they would put that in if that was just chat.
I don't know. Yeah, well, I mean, like I say, I think that's the reason why I thought it was a bit weird. I just thought it was strange that
Yeah.
wasn't news to people. I mean, obviously, maybe they didn't know what they were.
And then she
But
said she
like,
could see a W, so I thought maybe somebody in the works has put kind of a message in there. I don't know. Am
yeah,
I pulling it too far?
yeah,
Conspiracy lawyers, yeah,
I think it's
maybe.
just probably Cassiopeia or something, or the Big Dipper or something.
Mm.
Just like is it Cassiopeia in the shape of a W? Oh, I
Mm.
don't know. Could come
Anywho,
that and none. But yeah, so he's up there um,
so Trumbull and
on
Sims
his
have a
own.
bit of a meeting, don't they?
They do, yeah.
So
We've got
Trumbull follows Sims down to this place, which he shouldn't have done. And turns out Sims is the janitor's boy. And because of the class system, he was. But when you think about it, because the class system, that he's going to be like a lower class person or whatever. But when you think about it, like janitors, cleaners, them kind of people, they've got security, they've got all full access to everywhere. So the secrets they could,
yeah,
get hold of is, brilliant. So there's kind of a bit. Well, I thought there was Sims comes out of this room. It's got the janitorial on it, um, and he's like, "You don't know what's in this room? No, all right." Um, and then he talks a bit about like his upbringing. He got bullied at school, blah blah blah. And then his dad may have said something to somebody to get rid of the bully, and then his life was a lot better after that. And obviously, a janitor would have access to a lot of places, see people acting a certain way. I mean, you could be rifling through them drawers if you're a cleaner,
Yeah,
couldn't you? Getting all kinds of stuff. And his dad said, I don't want you, if you're going to shadow me as a janitor, your life's going to change, sort of thing. So maybe janitors have like a lot of information on people. They're actually quite
maybe.
influential, you know what I mean? Because they say, well, if you don't get my son's bully out of school, I'm going to grass up this particular politician or whatever,
Yeah, I wasn't
as
sure
you
if you
would.
meant sort of like, if you're shadowing me, then people are going to think you're a janitor as well, and people are going to look down on you because of that,
Mm,
and that's how your life's going to change. People are
I
just
don't
obsessed with
know.
status, aren't they?
I reckon there's loads of stuff behind the janitor's door, frankly. That's what
I
I've
think we
got
saw a
from it.
bit of that in episode 6, didn't we? We saw him sort of sitting in his little office, and he had loads of files and
God, yeah, he had a
relics
whole,
bagged
yeah,
up.
red,
Yeah,
looked like they
all
had,
weird.
well, they had that, looked like they had the disease symbol on them, that when you've got
Hazard,
contaminated
yeah,
waste.
like hazardous symbol.
Yeah, biohazard
May
symbol,
fuck
that's what
with
it
your
looked like.
mind. But
Yeah,
yeah, we also see like um, she goes back down, doesn't she? She says I need a couple of days off,
right,
so
yeah,
she says, and they're like, okay. So she goes back down to the bottom levels and speaks to Walker, and she's got because she gave her the camera, didn't she? The camcorder before, and she
yeah,
still can't get it to work. Well, she gets it to power up, but she's like, it's got all chips in it and stuff. And she's like, I can't read this because it turns out they have a law against certain levels of magnification.
yeah,
So she, and like her mum apparently in the past had invented some microscope and had been sort of
yeah, a couple of lenses, yeah.
so yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't be that difficult to do that again and not tell anyone. I don't
Yeah, I
know.
think she had it removed. So you're not allowed to have magnification. Also, you're not allowed to have lifts and pulleys, which
Yeah,
kind of explains the whole why don't they have lifts and pulleys?
yeah,
Because that
exactly.
would be the, you know what I mean? If you're gonna,
Yeah, they don't sort of really explain all that, do they? It's kind of like they just say you're not allowed to, and it's in the pact. They keep referring to the pact, and it's like these are the laws, sort of.
yeah,
But everyone just goes with it. Fair enough. I went with it as well.
yeah. Well,
Um,
I
but
kind of
I
did
thought,
wonder it in the first sort of episode why because you see all the porters running up and down, you think don't they have a lift or and if you're going to construct an entire living space that is vertical,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
I think it's like it's been designed so that everything you need is sort of within the nearest couple of levels to you, so you
Mm.
wouldn't need it.
Well, like
But I think
15-minute cities.
yeah, exactly like that. Yeah, that
Yeah.
exactly like that. So so you won't have an opportunity to go and see if things are different somewhere else. Unless and if you do that,
That's the
it's
point, actually. I didn't
yeah,
think that.
and
Yeah.
it's like so in a way, it's another way of control, obviously, by the designers of the silos and also people who are in charge now. It's keep people contained, give everything, your food and entertainment or whatever. Not that there is a lot of entertainment. There's not a lot of footballs and that, imagine a lot of footballs going over the side. Oh
Yeah.
fuck! I've lost my ball again.
Yeah, that'd be a nightmare.
And imagine even like if you're on that bottom level, getting hit on the head with a football from that height would still
They'd
be a
probably
shock.
ban football.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, people dropping shit, or like kids dropping stuff all the time. I imagine. You know what I mean? If
I
you live
suppose they
down
get
below, it'd be a
enough
nightmare.
exercise going up them bloody stairs all the time, though.
Yeah,
Be knackered. You wouldn't have time for football.
exactly.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have time for football. I don't have time for football now. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's almost everything in episode 5, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. That was
Actually,
it.
I thought that was a better episode because the one before was a bit filler. We talked about it was a bit filler, but we saw a bit more happening there. We also saw some judge in that episode as well, who turns up in episode 6.
Oh, right, yeah, yeah,
Like she just saw the pit, and she
Judge
seemed like an
Meadows.
arsehole. Yeah, she seemed like a total arsehole as well.
Well, she's gonna be, isn't she?
But she's obviously like, well, yeah, she's judicial, presumably their figurehead or
I mean, she's
something.
literally like the queen.
Yeah,
Well, I
yeah,
mean, like a queen with power. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean? Everything she says goes. That's it.
Exactly,
Yeah,
totally
forget it.
corrupted
Mm.
by it, obviously, because like every time anyone opens their mouth, she just cuts them
Kind of
off.
recognise the lady as well. I didn't look her up, but
Yeah,
she's got one of those. There's a lot of faces in this, figs where you've seen
yeah,
before. She plays the part well, I thought. But I'm hopeful because in this one, in episode 6, she kind of looks a bit ill.
yeah. No, she was like, I don't feel very well, and it's like
Mm.
you should probably be careful then, because 2 other people just got poisoned. You know what I
Well,
mean? Or
yeah,
what
you think
one
I'd be a bit
person
more on
poisoned.
that.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
like I'm thinking, well, the underling Sims or whatever is either poisoning her.
maybe she thinks
You
she's
know,
untouchable, and that's
maybe yeah.
why they've got her.
But
Or
it's weird. It didn't seem like a big dose of poison where she died like the other one. It's like she seemed like a slow thing, unless it's something like radiation poisoning or something, or I don't know.
I don't know. Do they have radiation?
I don't know. I would have thought there'd be some stuff
Arsenic
they
would be a
don't.
good one to do
Yeah,
gradually.
but yeah, how much
Yeah.
access would they have to all that? I don't
I
know.
thought the other one looked more like strychnine or something, both rat
Right.
poisoning, but arsenic you can do it over a long period of time through touch, food.
Yeah,
I've looked
I
into
know.
it, and also I've read a couple of murder books where that
That's good. Murder books.
so I'm an expert now on arsenic poisoning.
That's
Thank
good.
you very much. Also, I used to make it when we
Yeah.
not make it, but I used to make up medicine with arsenic in it for cancer
Oh
patients.
yeah, we did
Yeah,
it at King's.
heavy metal, very bad. Yeah, we also use special equipment. Anywho, but I think that's how she's been done over. She mentions being ill and she wants to get home and she hasn't got a lot of time for the conversation. They're basically talking about the murder investigation. The sheriff wants to do it. Juliet wants to investigate George's death, and to do that, she's planted the Pez dispenser, which is
Yeah.
the relic.
Did she put that there? She did.
Yeah, she fit him up. She fit
So I was,
the
yeah, I was a
deputy
bit
guy
confused
up.
there. I was like, is there another one? How did that get there?
Yeah. Well, I think she
Whose
took it.
apartment was that she put that in?
So, right. So they went
Because there's
to.
a lot of sort of knocking on people's doors in
Yeah,
this
it's a
in this
bit
series, and
confusing, I
like,
must
yeah,
say. Yeah. So they went to Trumbull's apartment, but
oh yeah,
previous to
the
this,
killer,
she took the Pez dispenser, which is a restricted relic, and planted it in his apartment. And then she fitted the deputy sheriff up, Billings, to make him find it. So
yeah,
then she would have,
very
and then they
smart,
would have the reason then to investigate George's death.
yeah,
But it was a bit
very clever,
contrived.
yeah,
Yeah. Judge George Meadows is ill. They have a word with Kennedy, the guy who was implicated in the other murder, but he got away. He wasn't him anyway. He was the wall painter. Gave Marlon's a bloody nose, all the rest of it. But he's a bit of a joker. Knows about certain relics, and they give Juliet a name to go and talk to, and it turns out to be George's ex-girlfriend. Can't
yeah.
say. Yeah, I didn't really like this episode that much, to be honest.
I thought it was a bit strange that sort of I didn't really understand her place in this. So she was his girlfriend and used to deal relics for him,
Yeah,
or
which I
or
thought, like, how would you do that?
yeah, it's strange,
Yeah,
and she got in trouble for it.
but she's still
Yeah,
alive. I
well,
mean,
she's still alive. Yeah, it didn't make a
yeah,
lot of sense. But it was something weird actually. I think before that we saw Sims in his janitor's office thing with all that stuff, and he went through a file, didn't he? And he was going through the file, and I think
right.
and he had like written notes about a Pez dispenser
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
something. I wasn't sure when they were written or whatever, but it also it said some stuff in there about he had George's file there or something, and it said that George was an informant in the
Oh,
file and that he was relocated
I
down.
missed that.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that had been addressed before or something, but I just paused it on the thing and it said
I don't
George.
trust anybody down there now.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, isn't
Anybody
it?
could be anybody.
Because we
Yeah.
saw, like some flashbacks at the beginning of her and George sort of being all lovey-dovey and
Yeah,
having
that kind of was
time and
starting to
stuff.
piss me off a little bit. Go
But
on.
like they're sort of they're in love and loving, and he seems like a nice guy, and he's kind of got he's got an interest in the past and all that sort of thing.
Got a hobby.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he sort of comes across as a nice guy, but then now we find out he's got like he just moves on to girlfriends in order to get them to do things, which I don't
Yeah.
know, didn't kind of ring true, but it's painting him in a weird light.
Yeah.
So
But I
I
think
was a bit
she
confused by
came
that.
across as a bit mental anyway.
Yeah,
Um, the first thing she does at the beginning of that scene, she says to her cat, I sound mental now, but she says to her cat, "Soon, babes."
is
So
she? You didn't even
yeah,
see.
so I've got a feeling there's an underground rebellion going on. She's
Why would
part
she
of
say that
it.
to the cat though?
She said, "Soon, babes."
To the cat?
Yeah.
Which must you mean food or something?
Oh, perhaps.
Or there's a rebellion coming soon?
Well, I'm thinking, do you know what I mean? I'm not, you know what I mean? Why put it in?
Well,
Why,
maybe I
why,
don't.
why
Well,
put
no,
it
it
in the
doesn't make.
script?
I didn't even notice it, but I don't know. It might like the cops turn up and she looks at the cat and goes, "Soon."
Soon, babes.
I would have thought she meant, well, you want food, but I've got this to deal with,
Nah, I think it's a
rather than
rebellion.
the rebellion's coming soon, cat.
Well, this is my conspiracy theory. She says it to the cat, "Soon, babes," because she loves the cat and wants the cat to know that
Yeah,
it's on, and
it's
maybe
on.
like the cat will be able, sort of scamper around the outside world and stuff.
You're insane.
Yeah, yeah. But then I thought, well, maybe she's part of the rebellion, and then obviously George was, and maybe Kennedy. I don't know. I don't know. It's
I
a
don't
bit
know.
confusing. But why put in the
Yeah,
script, eh? Why?
I don't know.
If
Maybe
I
they were
turn
just.
out to be right,
It's weird. I didn't actually notice that at all, and it's
you
weird because it reminded me of something
buy
I
me a
thought
bottle of
earlier. It
wine
was
or
like
something
I was thinking. I was
and
thinking.
apologise.
I was thinking. If it turns out the cat's a fucking major player
No,
in this,
not a cat. But she's obviously going to take the cat with her, isn't she?
what
When
do
they
you mean?
rebel.
Right? Yeah.
It's a bloody big cat as well. It's one of those Maine Coons. My mate's got one of those.
It's one of the
Yeah,
main things.
it was a an outside cat. It was a
I
stray, and
didn't. I didn't
I,
notice that at all. I
I
don't.
well, I know cats.
I must have
Yeah,
blacked out a bit, but I didn't even notice the cat in it at all.
yeah, but
But
they're
like,
like mini
it's,
lions. They are really like
yeah,
once they kick off,
you know, I
they'll
didn't.
give you
Well, it's weird
proper old
because I thought
scratching.
earlier on, why does no one have pets? I was thinking in there, but
Mm.
I just totally didn't see the cat at all.
Be a waste of resources. Cats would be all right
That's
because
what I
at
thought.
least, well, they unless they had a mouse problem, then you'd have terriers and cats to deal with that. Then that would be a good idea. I mean, they do
Yeah,
seem to have like cattle and shit, which need to eat grain, which might attract rats and mice, and it's very
yeah,
difficult to get rid of them. So I suppose cats and terriers and stuff like that would be, but they're not going to need like retrievers or
no,
shepherds, are they? I mean, have they got sheep?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I can't remember from the books to be honest. I know there was levels dedicated to sort of like farming and stuff like that, because I think
Well, you don't
moving
need
on,
food. Yeah.
yeah, sort of the peasant types are always the ones who sort of get the pitchforks out in it. So,
Yeah.
but
Well,
anyway,
I mean, if you're going to do that, like meat is the most um, sort of nutritionally, it's the most dense food you can have for humans anyway. So you would think, well, I would go with like cows, chickens, maybe not sheep because apparently they just die easily. So, well, then you get
yeah,
wool though, wouldn't you? So
yeah.
yeah, they've got a few sheep there, I think.
Let's
Anywho,
hope.
doesn't matter. It's not a part of the plot. Um,
Cats and
don't need
sheep,
to talk
sheep
about
and
it.
cat. Yeah.
So where did we get to? Blah, blah,
Um,
blah. Oh, yeah, they mentioned the syndrome again in this one. Billings
yeah,
has got it.
yeah. So it's a bit of a shaky thing.
Yeah, so it's like
We're
a
not,
nervous system.
yeah, we're not quite sure what that's about. Whether that's
Yeah.
nutritional deficiency or there's some fucking radiation source. I'm still thinking there's a radiation source or
Maybe.
something that they don't know anything about.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah,
yeah,
that would work.
he's
Yeah.
got the
I
syndrome.
feel a bit sorry for Billings now. I know he's
I,
like judicial sort of, you know, buttoned up
yeah, but I think he's
guy,
not
but
sort of like
it's not his fault.
he hasn't really laid his cards on the table with her. You know, if he said to her, "Look, yeah, everything is true. I am extrajudicial, but I am I want to get to the bottom of this as well." If he said that, then maybe
Yeah.
she would be a bit more. But he hasn't. He's just kind of like, "You need to be careful what you say." Um,
Mm.
so, I mean, I know what you mean. I do feel a bit sorry for him.
Well, now
Maybe
I
he
know
will.
he's ill as well, and he's got a kid, and he's got a wife and a kid, isn't he? Which is that
Yeah,
happens at the end.
no excuse.
I know, but I feel for him now. Uh, he's probably going to die
Probably.
horribly.
Um,
Um. So da da da.
so yeah, then we get Juliet goes to see the chap upstairs again in the cafe,
Yeah.
doesn't she? I totally blanked out what they said. It was really boring.
Couldn't see the
But
stars tonight.
couldn't
It
see
was
the stars,
cloudy.
but he's waiting for her anyway.
Yeah,
I've got a feeling he's
obvious.
going to turn out to be a bad guy. You know, I do
I
think
think
he's a
he's a plan.
plant. Yeah, exactly.
I think he's a friend of Judicial. They got him
Yeah,
to look vaguely like her ex-boyfriend. He's kind of handsome. He's hanging around.
he's smart. He's clever. He's got interests.
Yeah, he's a little bit
Doesn't seem to
different.
do
He's got,
anything.
he mentions rebellion in the first conversation to like
Yeah,
sort of like,
and that
are you
but he
cool with
also
the
said,
rebels or
yeah,
what?
and he'd read Romeo and Juliet or something, which
Oh
is obviously a
yeah, which
pretty,
is completely odd because they don't even know it was a play,
yeah.
you
So
know.
there's all that shit.
Yeah, he
But
probably
then
is bad.
so I'm not quite sure what else goes on in that scene. To be fair, he's just like, I was waiting for you, and she's like, yeah, see ya.
Yeah.
No, she says something like, "Oh God, that's a cheesy line," and they do that horrible conversation that everyone
Mm.
has in
The
movies where she
awkwardness,
goes,
yeah.
"Oh wow,
Yeah, I
really?"
kinda
And he's
blanked
like,
that
"That was a
out.
good line." It's like that's so dull. That was a
Mm.
bit crap. But then she goes back to see George's ex girlfriend. I can't remember why she goes
Mhm.
back to see her, and basically, says, "I know this shit you're not telling me," or something like that. And she basically was saying that we're all being watched, and that George has something, and she gives her this file, doesn't she, or like a book or something that
Yeah,
says, if this will get you killed. This is the sort of like this was passed down through his family,
yeah,
for generations. She just gives it to her, and Juliet takes it back to her flat
yeah.
and reads it, and it's like a kid's picture book about nature, sort of nature, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, for someone who's lived underground, never seen a
Yeah,
forest, never seen a beach,
yeah,
I can't remember
exactly.
what else there was, but the forest probably blew her
Forest,
mind.
sort of, yeah, beach thing, sunset,
Yeah.
dolphins. But then we see that she's being watched, like on a
On a pretty
camera.
sophisticated,
Yeah,
video system,
and
I
that
thought.
was the interesting thing, because like it wasn't judiciary, I don't think. And then, I mean, we've read the books, so because my initial thought was, who are these guys? And then I was like, ah, right,
Mhm.
I mean, I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't
No
seen it.
one doubled up the bloody flowers in front of the mirror. He left a message there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sheriff,
What?
Holston.
Why did he ask her to do that again?
Because the camera's behind the fucking mirror, isn't it?
Oh, right, yeah.
Obviously.
God, I'm such an idiot.
I've been
Yeah.
oh,
I
I
thought
thought
that
you
was just
knew.
no, I thought that was just for her to go, "Why?" And then the vent was behind there. I
No,
thought the
no,
vent
that
was
was
behind there.
separate. Yeah. Well, actually, probably it's together because the mirror, if you if you if you've got the flowers in front of the mirror, they can't see you getting up to the vent. Also, but
Right.
they need a tree there. I mean, that
Yeah.
more than a bunch of
I
flowers is
don't
going to do.
yeah.
But no one doubled up the bloody flowers. I thought, what's the point?
But
No,
she's
thanks
yeah.
very much.
So there's two people watching her,
Yeah.
watching this, watching a book, even though it doesn't look like they can really see the book, but they obviously know something. And then one of them says to
Yeah.
the other one, "You've got to wake him up." And they say, "It's the middle of the
Yeah.
night, wake him up." And it's like, who are
Do,
they
do,
referring to?
do.
So I think hopefully that gets addressed in the next episode.
Yeah,
And that's
I'm
it.
really sort of getting really impatient to get on with the bloody mystery now. I said 2
Yeah,
episodes ago they better pay up soon, but they bloody
yeah.
haven't.
They've had one filler episode, and like this episode was all right, but
I
you know,
preferred the other one. I preferred the
I,
janitor's boy to this one, which is the relic.
yeah,
This did it seemed a bit messy, this one. I didn't give a shit about the ex-girlfriend. They could have done that differently. I don't know. Not a lot happened. You see, but it's only because I'm getting impatient and I want to get to the mystery.
yeah,
I want to get on with it. And um, we're on episode 6 now, so we've only got 4 episodes left, haven't we?
yeah.
So they better
So it
get a
has
move on.
it has to sort of speed along soon. Saying that,
Mm.
I'm still enjoying it.
Oh
Um,
yeah, no. Do you know
but,
what? I wanted to actually point out there was a bit that I really noticed. The photography, like the sets and all that, is brilliant. Everything's
mm,
great, lovely. But there was a bit of photography where they'd set it up on purpose that she was having a flashback about how she loved George and she was feeling happy in that thought, and someone the camera's on her face and she was smiling, contented, and then someone sort of barged into her because they're in the silo, and just that I just thought that was a really nice detail. I don't
yeah.
know, that bit of photography there. I thought
Just
that's
getting
really nice.
lost in the past. Yeah, she obviously really liked him,
Yeah,
and like
and she
she, but
loved him, I think,
yeah,
yeah.
and
I
like
think he loved her as well. I mean, you can't
yeah,
trust ex-girlfriends, and she's bananas
no,
anyway.
that's the thing because he
Yeah.
does seem sort of like a genuine guy,
Yeah.
and like he's not like he hasn't asked her to do anything for him that we see anyway.
Yeah,
But
I
then
mean, what was
he
he
gives her the
unless
watch, doesn't he? And
unless he
she
needed a
fixes.
boiler fixing or some shit, do you know what
Yeah,
I mean? I mean,
exactly.
well, yeah, so
Who
I think
else
that
would you
was quite
call?
genuine.
That'd be
Uh,
great to have
yeah.
a mechanic girlfriend. Do you know what I mean?
Mm,
Put some shelves up for me, will you, love?
yeah,
That
bloody
sort of thing.
handy.
See how you
Yeah.
like it.
I'd
Um,
probably get pissed off with it though after a while.
yeah, well,
Mm,
men know all about that. But
mm.
but
Men
yeah,
know all about that.
yeah, constantly being asked to do all the stuff around the house, all the fixing stuff. Yeah,
Constantly.
yeah,
Yeah.
constantly. It's all right for women, just sort of be moving the hoover around. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Try putting in a boiler.
Oh, well, I hope
Not that
that
I could
gets a
do it.
comment.
Yeah, just joking. Just having a laugh, really. Just playing with the format. Um, but but he gives her a watch, doesn't he? Like that watch he gave her, and she fixes it
Fixes it
for him.
for him, yeah.
And she says,
Mhm.
he's like, that could get you in trouble. And she's like, oh, I did it because I like your reaction, sort of thing. Like, I want to make you happy, basically. And that's a
Mhm.
nice thing to
Yeah,
do, isn't it? So yeah, they're very much in love, I thought, or they were,
yeah.
sort of
Well,
thing. Yeah.
I'm hoping the next one will they've got to start get on with the mystery now, give
Well, they
us a
have
few
to address the
answers.
people who are watching, and like, hopefully, I mean, I think I know what that is.
Yeah,
So it's like, that's going to widen the scope of the whole show and stuff like that. But
yeah.
like, there's no way they're going to be able to finish this all off in 4 episodes. So there's going to have to be another couple of seasons
Have
at
to be.
least. And I think it will get him because it's got good reviews and stuff.
I think
You
people
know,
quite like it. Yeah, it's in the top 3 constantly in Apple Plus, I've
yeah,
noticed.
it is.
So
To be honest, it's weird because I think it's so easy nowadays when you get a new series out. It's so easy to sort of binge it and you get more involved in it, don't you, and stuff like that. But of course, waiting for a week and stuff like that, and sort of,
yeah,
it's weird how it's sort of, it needs to be really good in order to keep your attention like that.
yeah.
Um,
But I
I don't
think
know what I'm
you can
trying to say,
stretch it
really.
too far. That's what happens in,
Yeah, you
well,
can't have too many
several other
filler episodes.
series. They keep stretching it and stretching it. People get fed up and stop watching, so they need to
Yeah,
sort that
they
shit
need.
out.
Yeah, it needs to be sort of like address the story in the book and then just leave it there. Don't like sort of
Yeah.
drag it out into some spin off or
You can
something.
tell when they're doing it deliberately. That I mean, the last 2 episodes, the the janitor's boy was there was a lot of stuff in there that needed to be said. There was a
Yeah,
lot of stuff in this one that needed to be said as well, but I'm getting impatient now.
I think they're just setting up more and more mysteries, aren't they? It's like, is
Yeah,
George a good guy or not? Um,
yeah,
why is the judge such an arsehole? She's corrupt. But like, why is she ill? Like, it just kind of,
yeah.
you know,
I reckon arsenic.
yeah, something like that. But I mean, it's really good. But like you say, it needs to sort of like when things need to start happening and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, I'm looking forward to it
I still
anyway. I
really,
mean, I
really
really
do.
enjoyed it. It's great. It's beautifully done.
It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's really, really
Mm.
good. It's like I say, I think it's. I mean,
I
you're
still
kind of
think about
limited.
your apples and pears analogy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not sure that I think that was just the shit connections you make between things
Well, if
that
your apples and
don't
pears
mean
things
anything.
is good, or my cat conspiracy thing is
The
good,
cat is part of the soon. The rebellion's going to happen soon. Cat.
soon
Meow.
cats.
Yeah.
So hopefully that
Yeah.
will. Anyway, that's probably a good place to leave it.
Probably is. Yeah, it
Yeah.
probably is. So the next one will be out next Friday. We'll do that. What day is it today? Is it Friday?
It's
It is
Friday,
Friday.
yeah. We're
Yeah.
doing it early this week because we fucked up last week.
Yeah, exactly. So we've done two there. That's coming
Mhm.
up to an hour. Yeah, so really good. Lots of stuff happening. Um, sort of cats, apples and pears.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah, they.
Right. Oh well, we'll probably do that then.
Yeah.
Unless you've been want to talk about anything else. Very briefly, we were going to review Citadel, weren't we?
Oh, let's not.
No, I've watched it all. There's
Have
only
you?
6 episodes. Yeah, it's bollocks.
That's the review.
That's the
Yeah.
review there.
Yeah.
It's bollocks. It actually was quite enjoyable in some bits because it's so fucking farcical. But
Yeah,
everyone
they
is
got a few
just,
faces in it. I
yeah,
mean, yeah. Well, let's not
everyone's,
go there.
no, no, no. It's not worth it, especially the way it ended. It ended, and I was like, is that it? Really? Is that it? Yeah,
yeah.
probably don't need to say that. But if anyone else has any comments about that, or if anyone has any comments at all
And if you'd
about
like to like,
anything all we
subscribe,
said,
and share,
yeah.
that would be lovely. We'd
That
like
would be
that.
great. Really like that. If there's anything you would like us to review, we could quite do that. Because to be fair, I don't think there's really a lot on
No.
that I'm interested in. It's been a
Yeah.
while since I've turned on Netflix and gone, or Prime, or anything, and gone, oh
No, it's all
yeah, let's
gone
give this a
bollocks.
go. I just
Yeah.
honestly can't be bothered about any of it.
I am looking forward to The Boys coming out, and
Yeah, the boys. That's
there's a
going to be
new
more of the same,
season
isn't
of
it?
Foundation. We need to get on that as well.
Yes. So that's coming out in
Yeah.
July. So that's not too far away. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Took me ages to get you to watch Foundation.
I know.
You were like, nah. Same with Raised by Wolves. You're like, nah.
Well, it's just a whole sort of, illegal downloading thing. I didn't want to
Well,
go
no,
there.
no one does that. I wouldn't do that
Well,
personally.
I wouldn't do that either.
No, but just the
So,
thought of it was
yeah,
upsetting you.
I think maybe you should sort of let's stop talking now.
Let's stop talking now.